It is Turkey Monday on H&J Talk Sports. Turkey Monday, November 22nd, Thanksgiving week. We had some football. We had some other stuff. Harry, what's going on, man?
Hey, another Monday.
Another Monday, an exciting Monday. Depending on how you look at things, let's get into it.
Here we go.
The Steelers will never be last in the league in running again.
It's a good time to get hot.
Holy crap, guys. That's pretty cool.
And a Rabu.
Najee Harris, running back, first round. I think the Steelers will target him. Welcome back, everybody. It's H&J Talk Sports, your new favorite podcast for all things WVU football, Steelers, Penguins, and whatever else we want to talk about. I'm Joe. That's Harry. Harry, what's going on?
Hey, it's not a bad weekend.
Not a bad weekend.
Finally.
West Virginia beat Texas. Thank God. If you could ask me before the season if there was one game on the schedule I wanted to win for sure, I probably would have picked Oklahoma. But number 2 would have been Texas. That was satisfying.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Even if they're having a bad season, it still feels good.
They are having a bad season.
It's a very bad season. The Steelers lost. It didn't feel like a loss, though, to me. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but let's get into that. That was probably the best Sunday night football game all year. It's definitely the Steelers' best game of the season.
Yeah, the offense looked good, finally, for the first time.
The best Ben has looked all year in the offense.
The defense, you could tell the injuries made a big impact.
That was concerning. It ended up being 41-37. I think I texted you very early in the game and said this game looks like it's going to be 48-3 Chargers. I was very close on the Chargers score. But the Steelers put up 37 points.
Well, I mean, I like to see the fight that they had. That fourth quarter, they were down by 17.
Yeah.
And they came back. I mean, they had the lead. I kind of they gave them too much time. And with the way the defense was, you knew that they were just going to come down the field and at least get a field goal.
Way too much time. But they put up 27 points in the fourth quarter. They put up more points in the fourth quarter than they put up in any game all season, I think. I don't think they've put up 27, have they? Well, at least not the offense. I know we've had some games where the defense, they put up 29 against the Bears, 27 Broncos. I know some of those games, though, were defensive scores. But just in the fourth quarter, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, there's been a few times this year after a win we've come on, and I felt worse about this team after a win. But that's a loss. I feel better about the team now.
I agree. I do too.
Yeah.
I don't feel as bad. I felt like the offense looked decent for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Still that last drive with
that you don't like to see. The offensive line collapsed at the last critical part of the game.
They just let Joey Bosa wreck them, but
they crumbled. That is concerning. And they struggled that's another thing, a very negative part of this game. Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL, and we could not run on them.
No, I mean, they were putting a lot of people inside. They were making it tough to
a lot of it was the game plan. I think Ben wanted to throw, but you would like to see on the worst run defense in the NFL. I think Najee finished with 39 yards. Benny Snell had 7. That's not good.
But it's good to show that if a team does crowd the box and bring a bunch of people down to the line, that you can go outside.
That's the biggest positive. In all our wins this season, you never felt good about the offense other than Najee. And this game, it looked like Ben playing like he did last year when the Steelers went 11-0.
Well, I thought Deontay Johnson played really well too.
Huge game.
There were a lot of balls that were up there that he just went and took from the cornerback.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that he was getting a ton of separation. He was just making plays.
I think he loves Sunday night too, because the last time they played either Sunday night, I think against the Green Bay, maybe, he had a huge game that night. I think it was that one. But yeah, he had a huge game. Chase had a pretty good game too on his first game back. He had some good catches and runs.
Yeah, he did all right. They were trying to give him a lot of. They were giving him some jump balls and stuff. He wasn't always coming down with, but
yeah, that's one thing you'd like to see from him, being the tallest wide receiver and their deep threat.
But he's a big physical guy. He's done in the past. Just last night wasn't his night.
He struggled all season, honestly. I mean, he's been having a rough season.
Oh, well, not bad.
Ben did overthrow some, I thought. So some of that was on him. But overall, it was a great game. You hate to see him lose, but boy, they fought back in the fourth quarter. The defense obviously led up 41 points, but who was playing? We were on like our fourth string cornerback.
Yeah, you're missing two of your top three defensive players.
Yeah, Minka Hayden, TJ, among injuries we already had. Yeah,
it's going to be rough.
Devin Bush continues to struggle this season.
I'm glad Najee Harris didn't get hurt because he took two nasty hits. There was the one hit where he kind of got tied up. And
I think he might have got hurt.
Bent a weird way. That one made me nervous.
Yeah,
I thought that knee was going out. And
then
the
knee?
Second one.
Yeah, I thought that could have been an ACL.
Yeah, he had his legs tied up, but he was still fighting for yards. And then the other guy came and kind of took him out, but his leg got bent bad. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh man!"
That happens a lot. He needs to chill out because he does that in a lot of games where he does this. I mean, it looks cool to get these extra yards. He does his jumps or his spins. Sometimes you just got to lay down because that's when the injuries happen, man.
Yeah, that was there. I think if it wasn't for him being so young and having, I think that knee would have went. But luckily, he was fine. And then there was the other hit that he basically got forearmed into the turf
with no flag.
Yeah, that was crazy. That looked dirty.
And then he got up and he pushed the doctor. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, get off me, man. I'm not going.
I was surprised. I saw him. He was back in the last drive.
He was, and I'm surprised. I guess he passed concussion protocol, but
he looked a little wobbly, but
he did. I would have held him out. That was concerning to me. That seemed. But all in all, man, this is what you want to see. It sucks they lost, but you know what? Looking at the end of the schedule, this wasn't a must-win game for them.
No, I mean, you're a game and a half out.
Yeah.
Right now, the Ravens are only got 3 losses, but they don't look good.
But this is when you get into the must-win games. You have to win if you want to make the playoffs, you have to win these AFC North games, and you have a lot of them. So this week we got the Bengals. The Bengals have hit the skids, but they did beat the Raiders yesterday. So I don't know what Bengals team. They beat us earlier in the year. I feel like the Steelers are better now than they were then. Injuries are going to be a lot, though. Who's coming back? I think Minka was on COVID protocol, so he should be back. I'm not sure how hurt TJ.
The rest of the season's tough.
It is. This is when you hit it. I mean, these Ravens, Bengals, and Browns games are going to determine if you make the playoffs. You have to win, I would say, more than 50% of these games. You could maybe split the Ravens game. You got to beat the Bengals and Browns, I would think, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, if you lose these next 2 weeks, I think you're pretty much out.
If you lose this week, I think there's a good chance you don't make the playoffs. You have to separate from the Bengals here. And they beat you once already. You got to split it with them.
You could still possibly get into the wild card, but if you lose these next 2 weeks, then I think you're in big trouble.
And you don't want to leave it down to your last 2 games of the season to try to get in because that never goes well. Now you got the Titans who haven't looked good in the past few weeks. I think they lost this week, right?
Yeah, they haven't looked good,
and the Chiefs are starting to look like the Chiefs again. So that game that we've been talking about that could be a game you could win. I don't know now.
And then the Vikings just beat the Packers, and we play them on the road. That'll be a tough one. So.
I mean, there's no gimmies here. In past years, you look at the Bengals and Browns on the schedule and say, "Well," but now
it's time to get. If you're going to get to the playoffs, it's time to get in playoff mode because it's starting to. You may get a loss. Maybe 2 losses somewhere, but definitely not the next 2. Yeah, you'd have to lose to either someone outside the division, the Vikings, Titans, or Chiefs. Mm-hmm. You could probably afford a loss there, and then maybe 1 loss among the rest of the AFC North games you play, the other 4. and then that could probably get you in, but that's about it. That's
I
probably
would
your
think for
leeway.
sure you got to beat the Bengals and Browns if you want to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You have to win those 2 games. If you win those 2 games, you make the playoffs. If not, I don't think you do. Even if you win, if you beat the Ravens, the Vikings, the Titans, I don't think you make the playoffs if you lose to the Bengals and Browns.
If you win the rest of the games, I think you get in with 6 losses. Yeah. I think that's the line. Because there's also an extra team this year. It's 7 teams this year.
Yeah.
So that's an extra spot.
It's going to come down to it, man. I don't know. This is a tough week. Bengals, hopefully I would think, get TJ back if you want to. I mean, Herbert walked through that defense at will. I've never seen a team score so much in my life. I think the first 4 drives of the game were points. So we'll probably have Minka back. I would think you got to get at least TJ back too. So should be exciting. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Do you feel better after that loss? I guess, like I said, I think that's the best feeling loss I've had. Plus, it was an exciting game to watch.
That's fun.
Most Steelers games this year, even when they won, have been kind of boring because you're kind of like the offense comes out, the defense is a big stop, the offense comes out, and it's like 3 and out, and you're just like, well, what are we going to do this time? But this was exciting. You felt like every time they came on the field, they could score.
I was hyped between that punt block.
Oh, man.
And the 4th down.
Can you believe that punt block? Holy crap.
I was excited. I was like, wow, I can't believe we came back.
That's his second this year, too. He was the same one. He blocked it in the Bills game.
Yeah. That was good timing.
Kilgrave.
Would have been really great to finish that game off. But
yeah.
Well.
It was good. It was good. You think they beat the Bengals? What do you think?
Yeah, if we get the people back that we're supposed to.
Yeah, I think it depends on that. We really need TJ back. And hopefully we don't get bad news from Najee, even though they put him back in the game. Like you said, he looked a little wobbly when he came back. I'd be worried about that. I think we beat the Bengals just because, I don't know. In a year, we lose twice to the Bengals. I don't want to be a Steelers fan, but that's just me. So.
They're not the same old Bengals. They're a little better this year.
But still.
Definitely need to get this game back, though.
Yeah, I think the Steelers pull this off. It's going to be tough if TJ's not back, but if we get him back, I think for sure they win.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I'm predicting W. What you guys think in the comments? How you feeling about the Steelers? Matt Canada still sus on those red zone play calls. I think even Ben looked frustrated at some of those calls. He looked like he didn't agree, but what are you gonna do? Except fire him. Hopefully he gets well. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. West Virginia beat Texas, and they looked pretty good in that game. Deggy had a solid game. The defense looked pretty good. Caden Prather, another huge game. I think he's going to be our next big wide receiver in the coming years. Him and Nico, man, that might be our next quarterback wide receiver duo here. And he's definitely shown a lot. I don't know. What you think of the game here?
They played well. It's hard to. Texas is really bad this year, and they don't have a lot of fight left. In them.
And you could tell that, I think.
That Kansas loss, it'd be hard to come back after that.
They did look visibly deflated during that game.
Also, they're missing their best player.
But
running back.
We've heard that a lot this year, and we've lost those games.
I mean, it's good that we won. I think it's great. Like I said, I mean, at least we get back into with a good chance to get into a bowl. We'll just have to beat Kansas.
Yeah. I think it was Baylor or the Texas Tech game, Texas Tech, I think, where they were missing their top quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back, and running back, and they still beat us. So,
yeah, we played good. The defense played good. They were frustrating them all game. We're getting to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The offense did good. Daggy played well.
Yeah,
missed some throws, but I thought he still played well.
Mm-hmm.
Letty did good. I'm all right. The only thing I don't want to happen is I don't want Iggy to play us to win this game and the next game, and then everybody be like, oh yeah, he's guaranteed that starting spot next year. I think it should be dead even. I don't think he should have it already.
And I guess that's the big news too. He said he's coming back. So
yeah,
there
he didn't come out for the senior day because he wants to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he should be guaranteed that. I know he's been the QB. I know he will have been in the system for a while, but we've seen it. He was in the system last year. This was the year, you put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And it started off terrible. I don't want to waste another year. Like if he beats out Nico, Nico's young. Okay, you redshirt Nico, then have at it. Yeah. But at least I just want a fair, even competition.
And I think and I don't want to hear all off season again how he's the best improved player, honestly. Like nothing they say about him this offseason is going to make me feel good.
I mean, we've seen it this year with Brown. Brown. When Nagy was struggling, and there were times where everybody was calling for Green. Green should have played more. Granted, what we saw was that Green really wasn't the answer either, but still, we didn't get to see that till later than it should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a big thing. I think a lot of people out there, especially some other podcasts who I won't name, are way too high on Garrett Green and are calling for him like he is, I don't know, someone he's not. But next year, I think you have the guy that at least you feel like should be able to come in if Daggy's not playing good. So maybe we give Neil Brown too much crap for sticking with Daggy and feel like it's loyalty when really he just felt handcuffed and like he had no one else to go with, right? So maybe that's what it was. It's easy as fans to sit here and say, put Garrett Green in. We've seen him do some runs. Maybe he's not that good, guys. We don't know. We saw some throws and that weren't good, but it's hard to come into a game you don't play and you're not playing and you're not throwing and make a good throw too. So I got to defend him in that. But next year, you feel like with Nico, from what we've seen, you have an option. And I think I saw someone else say it on Twitter, someone that covers West Virginia, Nico could be a coach's job-saving type quarterback. He might have to save his job with Nico next year. If you stick with Daggy next year when Nico's on your sideline, there's going to be more questions, I think, from more people than just a few calling for Garrett Green. And another big story, speaking to Nico, this happened midweek after our show, I think Tuesday. We've talked a lot about Neil Brown's saving grace being his huge recruiting class. We had 2 4-star recruits decommit, Harry, within 15 minutes of each other this week.
Yeah,
I think it was Wednesday night, some night this week, within 15 minutes. Justin Williams, top, I think he's the running back we talked about on the show, and we had our top 4-star wide receiver we talked about before too. Within 15 minutes, they decommitted. And I've been worried. I think with Williams, he posted a few days before that he had a great visit with Tennessee. And when I read it and I read what he said about it, I was kind of like, I don't like how he's talking about Tennessee right there. And then sure enough, 2 days later, he decommits.
Well, yeah, that's the issue when you've looked as bad as we have.
Mm-hmm. But I will say some good came out of this. And Joe's all on Twitter, so I see all this stuff. So when this happened, another one of West Virginia's recruits, I think maybe a lineman, he committed or posted a face like, really? Or something like that. And then he posted after all this was happening, and West Virginia Twitter was kind of in a meltdown, that he's going to be an early enrollee. And then Nico commented on it and said, see you there. And we had a bunch of the recruits rally and say, hey, they're all early enrolling. So I think that was their way of kind of saying, hey, we're still coming. Don't worry about it. So that was something I like to see. Because trust me, West Virginia Twitter and Facebook was in a full-blown meltdown after that decommit. But yet a lot of the recruits or commits saying, hey, we're coming, early enrollee, we're committed. It's 100%. Here we go. That I like seeing.
Yeah. It's good. It sucks to lose people, but I think we still got most of the class and the best part of the class still coming.
And also, I think you got to look at the character of the guys you're losing. Now, personally, I don't know these kids, but no, listen, I got reason for this. The running back that's leaving, Williams. So he's out there asking what school has the best nil deals. You've never took a snap. Why are you trying to get deals already? Like, I know it's a new thing, but you're in high school. You've never taken a snap. And
you get that money.
You got to get that money. But my guy, wait, like, is that the guy? And then as soon as he leaves, what's he say? He tweets, how many followers, what school has the most, can give me the most followers? I mean, you got to do better than that. Is that what it's about?
That is what it's about.
I guess in 2021, that's what it's about, right?
It's all about the money.
Get those followers and sponsorships. Screw school.
It's all about the money. It's always been about the money.
Anyways, that was the big news this week. Kansas. Can we beat them?
Can we?
Can we? Will we?
That's a good question.
Now, Kansas beat Texas. We know that. Texas sucks this year. They played a really good game against TCU. They almost beat TCU. I think TCU came back late in that game to win it.
I think we'll win. I think this team wants to get to a bowl, and they're going to be a little bit hungry, especially after that Texas game.
Yeah.
And I don't think it makes any difference playing there at night because their stadium's always empty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should win.
Yeah.
I think you need to be careful. Texas's defense didn't look good. They looked terrible. I think we have a way better defense. I think we'll give them problems and should give a lot of opportunities to the offense to pull away.
Yeah.
I see us winning.
Yeah, I think that should be a win too. I mean, they played good the past few weeks. Last game of the season. But if you're Neil Brown's team, after that game, a lot of the West Virginia players look really hyped. So I think there's a lot of momentum they're carrying into this final game of the season. And if you're Neil Brown, you've already had a bad season, but the difference between making a bowl and not, that's huge, I think.
Yeah.
So this season's been bad across the board, but it looks a lot worse if you don't get a bowl game. So I think you got to win this game. You got to get the bowl game.
You salvaged the season, especially the second half of the season.
It really is. I mean, they've came back. They've looked a lot better the second half. The lines look better. Deggy's look better for the most part. He's still, when he gets pressure, he falls apart. But the better the line has been, the better he's looked. When he's got time to throw. I mean, this guy somehow, I think he still leads the Big 12 in yards this season, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
His touchdown to interception ratio was not good, but he can throw the ball when he has time. It's just when he gets a lot of pressure, he forces throws, and that's when he gets in trouble.
Well, the league's not like it used to be. It's not. The defenses, I think, are a little better.
Yeah.
The offenses aren't as crazy high-powered as they have been.
It's been weird.
It's not. It hasn't been the same as it usually is. So
yeah,
a lot more balance.
Yeah. Will we see that going forward, or is this just it's one of those few years where you're rebuilding the Big 12? All these teams are retooling.
I think it's just a weird year. I just don't think there's that much separation between teams this year.
It's definitely been close. You could feel like any team could win anybody. I mean, even Oklahoma, you look at a game and you felt like Oklahoma could lose every game this year.
I mean, Oklahoma's almost lost a bunch of games. They got destroyed by Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State might be the best team. It's going to come down to them in Oklahoma this week.
So for our final West Virginia game of the season, barring a bowl game, we're going W.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. We're going W. H&J Talk Sports predict a win for the last game of the season. Holy crap, I can't believe college football is almost over already.
It went fast.
It goes too fast. How the Mountaineers been looking in basketball, Harry? You been keeping up yet?
I watched the last two games.
Yeah.
I watched when they played Marquette and then Clemson. So I lost Marquette. They're definitely not the same team. They're missing out on missing Deuce.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big loss. It was a playmaker. So I don't know. We'll see.
Is there potential for this team, or is it too early to tell?
I think it'll be tough to get to the tournament. I think that's right there, right? Your goal.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that could possibly get in if they put it together. Maybe not. I think they're right on the borderline to get into the tournament. I'm not expecting huge things this year. You're missing too much.
Hey, crazy. We started the show right when March Madness started last year.
Yeah.
That was like one of our first episodes, I think, right when it started. And afterwards, we were talking about the potential of this team to come back. And then they lost everyone in the transfer portal or to the draft. And here we are.
Yeah. That's two of your best players. I mean, it's expected.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep up with it. I'll have to try to watch basketball and not fall asleep because I think the fans want some basketball coverage from what I've seen in the comments. So we'll try. That's up to Harry. I don't know. I can watch it and give you my opinion, but I don't know anything about basketball. So it'll be, I can say, man, they look good or they don't.
See. If you want us to add a basketball segment, comment below.
Comment below. There you go.
We'll add it.
Harry, we already got 1 or 2 comments for basketball last show, I think.
We'll add it to this episode.
To this episode, if you want to see basketball, comment below.
We'll talk about it.
Before we get in, it is Thanksgiving in a couple days. I got a special little thing. I don't know if it's a special little thing. Thanksgiving trivia for you, Harry. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Okay. You always seem ready. All right, Thanksgiving trivia. First question. What is, besides turkey, because that's an easy answer, what is the best Thanksgiving dish that you can't do Thanksgiving without? Would you have to have?
What is my favorite?
Yes.
I don't like turkey very much.
Well, there you go.
Turkey's not even high on my list.
Oh my God, you're
Stuffing is probably the best. And then ham. I like ham. I'm more of a ham person.
more of a ham. Stuffing, this guy. For me, it's sweet potato casserole, if I can't count turkey. I have to have that on Thanksgiving. It makes Thanksgiving. Now, what is your least favorite Thanksgiving? Don't say turkey. That you could get rid of and never eat again on Thanksgiving.
What's it called? I don't know. I block it out. What's it? Really cheesy stuff. I'm not a big cheese person.
No, I'm not either. I can take or leave it. For me, I would say mashed potatoes. I like them because they feel like Thanksgiving. But there's so many other better ways to make potatoes. I feel like
I like mashed potatoes.
I like them, but I feel like it's the least best way to make a potato. I'll take baked potato, fried potatoes, chop them up. There's so many better ways to make them. It depends on how you make the mashed potatoes too. If you add stuff, a lot of people make their mashed potatoes very plain and bland on Thanksgiving. But,
yeah, that's true. You don't see a lot of.
if you load it up like a baked potato, I'll take it.
Interesting. Garlic and butter. That's all.
Yeah. Potatoes. All right. Last question. If there's one thing you eat that's not a Thanksgiving food that nobody eats on Thanksgiving that you could add to it, what would that be?
Chicken wings.
There you go. Chicken wings all day, every day. Mine would be steak. I think like a skirt steak or something on the side. Chop it up, add it to the plate. That's my attempt at a Thanksgiving episode. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Harry's probably the worst person to talk to about this because he doesn't do holidays, right?
Not much. Now I do.
Now he does. But back in the day, you had no association. You just go to Hawaii and forget the world on every holiday.
I didn't do a lot of holiday stuff. It was beer and chicken wings in college.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go. All right, before we wrap this up, we got to talk. The Penguins have won their last 2 games. They've had a shutout their last 2 games. They shut out, where am I? I'm lost on the schedule right now. They shut out Toronto 2-0. They beat Montreal 6-0. The game before that, they lost to Buffalo 2-1. But Tristan Jarry has only allowed 1 goal in his past 3 games. So that's a good sign. They looked really good the past 2 games. Crosby's looking better. The top players are starting to score, which you like to see, because it's been the bottom 6 kind of holding this team down all year. So you've had Crosby, who's looking better. You had Gensel, who's scoring now. Everyone's looking pretty good. Kasperi Kapanen, still MIA. He had that game with a big hat trick, and he hasn't done anything since then. That's kind of been the story of his career. When he was in Toronto, he'd be on the top line. He'd be on the bottom line. He can't put any consistency together. I think before the season started, I said that he's one player we need to see consistency out of with the big players out. And we haven't seen it, so I don't know what you get from him. But they've looked better. You got to start winning now. Their defense is really good. I feel like they just got to – I don't want to say their defense is really good. Let me check that. Their penalty kill is really good. They got one of the best penalty kills in the league, if it's not the best right now. Goaltending is looking better. I feel like this team is very close to being a good team.
How many months are left in the season?
You keep saying that every episode here, but we're a quarter of the way through the season now. It's getting close. We're actually a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, but playoffs aren't what, till April?
Yeah, but it's going to fly by. I mean, soon. Okay, it's not till April, but if
Still got 4 months.
But if by January, if you're not in the playoffs, that's when it gets really hard to get into the playoffs. So I feel like you got to be, even if, you could go up or down, you got to be over that line, I feel like, in January. If you're under the line.
We'll put it together in the next 4 months.
I don't think it's that. See, this is how you know Harry don't watch hockey. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. I'm telling you, you got a lot of time, but it's tough. If you're not over the line in January, it's a battle.
Got to be within striking distance.
Yeah, but those bottom few teams, man, I feel like you got to be over the line. Even if you're right on it, I feel like you got to be looking on the inside, looking out by January. If you're not, it's hard to get in. And you got to make the decision too. Another reason it's hard is because you got to, as a GM, you got to look at your team at that point and say, are we going all in? Do we want to spend assets, or do we want to try to get assets for next year? So that's why it's critical to be over the line too.
What? You're only, well, I guess you got a game in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're a game ahead. Never mind. You're a point away.
Are they point away now? It's close. It's close. But you got to be over the line come January. So they got to really.
Fourth is the wild card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fourth is 19. We're at 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
But we have an extra game played. So
yeah.
Still, you're not too far.
No, you're not far. But you got to be over the line. You got to let your GM know, because I think the trade deadline is in, I don't know, this year. I think it's different because of the Olympics. It's probably a little further back.
When's the break?
I think the Olympic break is in January. Let me look real quick. Late January. Now I got to pull all this up. Hold on. Or no, is it February? Yeah, it's February.
February.
Mid-February.
It's a good time.
So the trade deadline's probably March sometime, I would imagine.
Hopefully you can stay within striking distance by then. And then
you gotta get over that line. They're looking better though. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. If you got questions for the show, hashtag HJ. No, what was it? Hashtag AskHJ in the comments. Let us know. Anything else? Did we miss anything? Is that all the important stuff?
Getting there. Finishing the college football regular season. We'll be done.
Yep. We'll have to do our post-analysts on the season. Go subscribe if you haven't. Like, share the podcast. Let everyone know who covers West Virginia and the Steelers better than anyone else. You're looking at them. These two weird-looking mofos. Subscribe. Listen to us on Spotify. We're on all podcast platforms if you don't want to look at our beautiful faces. If you do, here we are. We'll see you guys next Monday after Thanksgiving.
Later.